Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, folks. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream, or YouTube stream. Not Twitch, YouTube. Why do I keep on forgetting that? I don't know, man. Alright, got some background noise going on so I don't lose my headset. And we're gonna back into some Pega studying. I've been away for a couple days. Apologies, got had a lot of things going on in real life that was kind of, in some cases, pissing me off. In other ways, I was having a grand time because I haven't seen my cousin, for example, in a while, and so that was um, so yeah, couldn't didn't really have any means of at least streaming. So but obviously, for those of you that are watching these Pega streams, you don't really care too much about that. You want me to actually get into the whole Pega development and stuff like that. Again, apologies for kind of being um, for not really doing much on the studying lately. Um, I've just been busy with other things at this time, so hopefully you won't put I'll hold it against me too much. Okay, so let's get into the normal. Let me try to explain who I am, why I'm doing these videos, why I'm doing these streams, and you know, uh, hopefully if you like what you see, then you'll continue on with the other videos that I've made on Pega, or maybe check out the other playlists that I have, with um, code development, with gaming, what have you. You know, it's all there. So, um, well, not all. I've had to move a couple things to Patreon because, well, music copyright has kind of screwed some people over from some games, um, but yeah. Now, who am I? Well, currently, right at this moment in time, I am a unemployed software developer who's trying to find a job. The last job that I had was involving Pega, the Pega low code environment, um, and well, uh, the company that trained me, um, well, they didn't do a great job, in my particular opinion. I felt like they really needed to. Um, they really should have brought us into like another team or another, have another instructor because we weren't really learning very much from the instructor that we did have. We had some problems with him, and even the guy's coworkers knew. So, but I mean, uh, that didn't happen. So, was pushed into a corporate job, and they the corporate job didn't really help me out either. Um, you know, the idea of mentorship appears not to really work anywhere. Apparently. So, if you're watching this, if you're like a lead or a senior manager or something along those lines, and you're watching these videos of mine, then please work on that mentorship. You know, if you feel like one of your coworkers isn't really learning the material well enough, or you're like you feel like one of your developers um, is somehow not like grasping the work, help them out, you know, um, be a mentor, you know, or at least ask them, hey, would you like me to help you, you know, in learning this material that, we're asking you to do. It's as simple as that. Um, you know, if you do like 1 hour a day or something like that, helping someone learn something new, then hey, guess what? They become better. They learn. Can't stress that enough, man, because it feels like everywhere I go or everywhere I look, mentorship is not on the table, and when in fact it really should be. Um, okay, so um, uh, sorry, got a little sidetracked there. So yeah, we had an authorized training partner. It didn't really work out, and well, I'm once again unemployed without a certification, and I'm trying to learn the um, the system architect certification so that I can potentially get a job in Pega again. Without them kind of questioning whether or not I'm actually skilled in it. So, um, I'm afraid of like looking through all the um, jobs asking for Pega developers, knowing that most likely they're going to be saying, system architect certification required. I mean, that's what I would probably do if I was an employer who needed a Pega developer. You know, probably looking for that certification. But question is, will that company actually train someone that needs their certification? You know, not many would. So, um, but for those of you that are watching my videos and like, you need to consider the fact that for one, I'm not an authorized training partner. So if you feel like, I am for some reason, then well, you're gonna have to change your mind because I am not. Um, I've not been authorized by Pega to train in Pega. Um, so don't um, you know remove that from your mind, okay? Because sorry, you know, I'm not an authorized training partner, okay? Nor should you consider this an instructor-led training, okay? I'm not an expert in Pega. I'm trying to learn it myself, so um, I'm gonna have my own questions during these videos, okay? Now, um, hopefully these videos, gives you, some help, if you're trying to learn it, for the first time as well, or maybe you're just trying to, um, learn the specific details. I don't really know. Um, you have your own uh, purpose, or you have your own goals, and that's perfectly fine. So hopefully you enjoy these videos and you're going to continue watching and subscribing and liking and all that jazz. If not, that's perfectly fine as well. You do you. Okay. Um, now, um, but yeah, this is not an instructor-led training because I am not an expert. Uh, I don't claim to be. I don't want anybody thinking that I am. because that would be incorrect. Um, okay, um, so what's going on? What else can I say? Well, you know, currently working towards my certification for the system architect. So now, for those of you that might be watching these videos for the business architect, all those topics, that entire mission about business architect, that's already done. That's already complete. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Um, or you can go back through the previous um, through the library and see um, everything that I've already done already for it. Um, so um, you can kind of go back through all that and see um, you know try to help yourself out on trying to get that certification on that end. Okay, but I've already covered it. Okay, I've already covered the mission. So here, let me show you what I mean. So as you can see, Business Architect has been done. I've gone through the two missions, which is the same as the System Architect, by the way, the two missions, and the two modules. Okay, that's already up on my playlist. You can go through each and every single last one individually, one after another, and you can learn. Um, you can learn the process as I go along. Yeah, you're welcome to you know, study the material yourself. Obviously, feel free to keep on pushing forward along those lines, especially if you want to achieve that certification yourself. Okay. But what I would also recommend with the business architect is maybe taking the Pega Express delivery mission as well, because these two modules right here are basically a very very small portion of the Pega Express in its entirety. So I would recommend doing the mission here to learn more on that particular topic. So, but my focus, what I want to do is to get through this system architect mission here, learn everything that I can so that um, I can take the certification test and pass it and actually start applying to jobs with it. So, and hope that, I'll be brought in to work because God knows I need a job. Okay, so going in here, as you can see, both the two missions are done. We are going through the additional modules and challenges at the very end, getting to um, the very end with the system architect exercise and test. And then we are probably going to be going through and doing a lot of like mock exams, um, some study guides, covering and back over some additional topics, look over topics that I've struggled with. Um, I'll look at my last certification results, which, well, the first and only time that I took the certification test, um, I basically missed the the minimum goal of it by like 6 questions. Now, um, I need to also state the fact that, some of those questions, I studied 8.6, okay, and that's pretty much all we studied. Our trainer, our authorized training partner, did not really discuss how keywords had changed. Um, and they had. So I was seeing keywords from Pega 7 in the certification exam, and I didn't know what they were. Um, so that took me by surprise, and well, needless to say, I missed questions, or I missed, you know, I couldn't figure out what they were looking for, what they were asking on some of those questions. So therefore, I missed some questions that I probably could have answered if they were using the keywords that I was used to, what they, what they taught me with 8.6, but they didn't do that. Um, so that's where I'm at right now. So we're going to go into this challenge here of manipulating application data. 3 tasks, 20 minutes, and we'll go ahead and you know go through the uh, we'll see how far we can go on this. So let me go ahead and start up the instance there, seeing that it apparently it takes 3 to 5 minutes to prepare. No worries on that. Okay, so the scenario: to ensure that customers are billed for only the services provided, the program manager wants the application to display a list of services performed by the service provider. Um, the list must include the following information: name of the service performed, unit cost of the service, number of times the service was performed, total cost of each service, and total cost of the services performed. So on the performance service flow, configure the copy selected services data transform to copy services provided from a service case to an assistance request case. The following diagram displays the relationships of the selected service embedded data type in the assisted request case type. And the services data relationship is the service case type to the services offered data type. The following table provides the credentials. Practice environment may support the completion of multiple challenges. As a result, the configuration shown in the challenge walkthrough may not match your environment exactly. So ain't that lovely. Okay, so we got our Pega password set. We know what the username we're going to be going for. Now they do offer the challenge walkthrough that you can do if you want to. Okay, if there's a detailed task that doesn't have like the steps properly stated, or they might skip a step or two, which I mean they have done in the past. So don't feel like you're um, if you're feeling like they might be missing this step, let them know. Um, because I've encountered that before. So don't feel like you are alone in that. Okay. The challenge walkthrough should give you a step-by-step guide on how to go about, completing the challenge. But I'm not going to touch it, or at least that's not the intention of these videos. Okay. I want to make sure that I can get through these detailed tasks, in properly. Using what they provide. So, um, okay, I think it's author Go Road. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Um, so I'm going to be going through each of the steps that they provide here, and I will only use this video if I absolutely need to. But most likely, if the detailed tasks are set up properly, then we shouldn't need to. So, okay. So, now here's the thing. Um, this is supposed to be involving more of the dev studio. So the fact that we're starting off in the app studio here is okay. I mean, sure, but you know, I hope that we go more into the Dev Studio here, guys. Otherwise, what's the purpose of putting it, you know, uh, you know, otherwise, what's the purpose, right? So, click the open process in Dev Studio. So, but that's it. So, so this entire first step here is not involving the Dev Studio at all. Okay, well, I mean, there you have it. No, I don't need them to know my location. Thank you very much. Don't really want to dox myself, so. Okay, so, should be fairly straightforward for the most part. If you have any questions, like I said, feel free to leave them in the comments or, chat with me directly while I stream. Both are perfectly fine. So, um, I will try to answer any questions that you might pose. Um, I'll try to answer them myself if I can. If I can't, then I will either try to look up the answer myself or I will try to find someone that can answer the question for you. So don't feel like you shouldn't. You know, feel free to ask. Okay, because even if I might not be able to, there might be someone that can. So don't be afraid to. Okay, always ask questions because um, it's one of your tools for learning. Okay, so here we are. We're ready to go. So in the navigation pane of App Studio, click the case types assistance request to open an assistance request case type. So we're case types and assistance request. In the assistance request case type on the workflow tab, click Review Service Summary to open the step properties pane. So whenever they talk about the tabs, it's normally like, on the left-hand side, upper left-hand side. So, um, which we are in the workflow tab. It defaults to this automatically. So, why it states that outright, I don't really know, but this isn't really necessary. But click the review service summary, which is over here, and that will open up the contextual pane or contextual panel. Uh, in the step properties pane to the right, click configure view to display a dialog box. So configure view. Um, in the dialog box, click add field to configure a new field. Create a multi-record data relationship named selected services. So I'm going to take that real quick because adding a new field is fairly easy. So here we are, add a new field. So here's the selected services. We want embedded in the type list, select embedded data. And a data object list, select services offered. And then click List of Records radio button to designate it as a multi-record data relationship. So next we have embedded data. We have, what was it, services offered, I believe it said, right? Yeah, services offered. And then we had a list of records. Okay, we don't need to worry about the advanced. You don't really care about that apparently. So we're just going to go ahead and click submit and add another to configure the new field. To configure a new field, but this also adds the selected services already. So we need to create a currency calculated field named invoiced total. So we're going to be doing that. Why they didn't do a table, I'm not quite sure, but it is what it is. Okay, so that's been added. So we have invoiced total there. In the type field, we select currency. We expand the advanced selection. So we have currency here. And this is a calculated field. And then we have to modify the function. So in the calculation section in the function drop down, click sum of, and the field drop down, select line total. So sum of line total. Sum of line total. And then we just click submit. So we don't need to add another. So there we go. Okay. So in the options for the description, quality, service, and unit cost fields, select read only. So description, quality, service, and unit cost are all need to be read only. So unit, service, quality, description. So click submit to record the new fields and return to the workflow tab of the case lifecycle. So I want to make sure that I am indeed like looking at pretty much the exact same thing here, because I don't want them to be, different in any shape or form, because if there's like one wrong thing, then it's going to be a little difficult to change it afterwards. Okay, so we have selected services, data relationship of list, options of optional. We have services offered. We have description, text, single line, and that's read only. We have a line total, that's currency and calculated. We have quality integer read only, or quantity integer read only. Service text single line and read only. So service text single line read only. And then we have unit cost currency read only. Unit cost currency read only. Then we have invoice total currency and calculated. So invoice total currency calculated. So we're all good. So we hit submit. That brings us back out to the workflow tab, and then they just want us to hit save and we should be good to go. Once it's done with all this. All right, that should be done. So click save. Everything is good there. Okay, so configure the copy selected services data transform. So in the navigation pane of the App Studio, click Case Types and Service to open the service case type. Okay, so we're no longer doing anything with the system's request. So case types, service. So not a whole lot here, you know, which makes you wonder, where's the normally you have like three different stages normally with a life cycle. So, normally you have like a beginning, to collect data. You have a middle to process data, and then you have the end to end, um, finish off or, output the data in question. So the fact that it's all in one stage is, I mean, you could still do it, but you know, um, you know, you gotta make sure that everything that you need there is done. So, otherwise, trying to restructure everything into, the three different sets, might be a little rough. So, just saying, you know. Okay, so in the perform service process, click configure process. So, perform service process right here. You need to configure process. Okay. Click Open Process in Dev Studio to open the Perform Service Flow rule in the Flow canvas. Alternatively, in Dev Studio and the App Explorer, expand Service Process Flow and then select Perform Service to open the Perform Service Flow rule. That's if you were in Dev Studio. So we want to open process in Dev Studio. And of course, you can confirm that in the upper left-hand corner there, where it will show you that you are now in Dev Studio and not App Studio. See, right up there. Also, the tab also shows the fact that it's Pega Dev Studio as well, but you know, um, it should, you should see it right here. So, okay. Um, so on the flow canvas, right-click the Select Services connector, and then select View Properties to display the connector properties dialog box. So we want to select, right click on the select services, click View Properties, and that will bring us up a window that we have to change. So here's the connector properties that they're referring to. Okay, in the connector properties dialog box, in the set properties area, select apply data transform to add a data transform to the connector. So we're selecting the apply data transform right here. Okay, so but we have to do it in the set properties. So apply data transform, and there we go. That's all they wanted to do for us to do right at this moment in time. Okay, so because in the data transform field, which is right here, enter copy selected services to name the data transform. Okay, because it hasn't been officially named yet. So there you go. Now, if you clicked on that and you didn't name the data transform there, not quite sure exactly what I would probably do. It might actually just create a select services data transform kind of thing. Like I would probably just kind of name it select services as a data transform, and that would obviously get very confusing very fast because you already have a connector named select services. Now you have your data transform also named select services. So you know be careful. Okay. To the right of the data transform field, click the open icon to open the create data transform tab. So we need to select this right here to open up the data transform tab. Give it a minute or two or 5 for it to open up. On the Create Data Transform tab, click Create and Open to display a new data transform record. So create data transform. They want us to create and open, but you know, look at what you have here. Okay, study it. Know what you're looking at here, there, folks, because um, they aren't really explaining it here for you. Okay, but know what you're looking at. Okay, because you have the copy selected services, which is the name that you gave. Okay, it has its own identifier, named in the exact same way as the label there. Okay, you can edit the identifier here, by the way. You can change it if you want to. So, um, so if you have, like, let's say for some reason you have two labels that have the exact same name to them, right? But you want them to be identified differently, so you can easily like reference them elsewhere at another time, right? Then you can change the identifier. You can edit that. Okay. Um, the data model format is, set to clipboard there. You can select it to JSON, but it's defaulted to clipboard. Which is, the clipboard, here within Pega Studio. Okay. JSON, you know, um, meaning that you're basically going to be creating a JSON file, if I'm not mistaken, with you know, with that name. Again, I don't really know. I'm not an expert at this. It's the only thing that I can reasonably conclude. Okay, this is an educated guess, so don't set me on fire because of that, what I'm doing here, what I'm saying. Okay, so just this is my educated reasoning behind what you have here. Okay, this is part of the GoGo Road application. Okay, um, you have that your app here, your application of GoGo Road. Okay, so this is a part of the GoGo Road application. Now you could set it up to the CE base if you needed it to, but that would mean that this particular data transform goes beyond the GoGo Road application. Okay, which if you want that to be a thing, then you know then you better make sure that you have a really good reason behind it. You know, um, you know, that data transform being able to be used in other applications outside of it. So, but if you're working on one specific application and you don't suspect that this particular data transform doesn't need to be reused outside of the application, then setting it within the application is perfectly fine. It's perfectly reasonable. Okay. Notice how you have the, um, the different apps that are, or the different classes that it's being referenced to. You have GoGo, which has the class of GoGo Road, which has the class of work, which has the class of service. Okay. So, so this particular data transform is going to be placed under the service class. Okay. If you want it to be outside the service class, then you can put it into work, so on and so forth, right? So now we're adding it to the GoGo Road rule set of 010101. Okay, that means that your GoGo Road application hasn't even been launched yet. Okay, you're building the GoGo Road application for the very first time. You're adding all these new rules to the GoGo Road application because you're putting it at the very, very start of the GoGo Road application. Okay, otherwise, it shouldn't be this way. Okay, you shouldn't necessarily be adding it to the base rule set of the application. Okay, if the application has already been created and it's already live, then more than likely you're not adding it to the base of the GoGo Road rule set here. Most likely this has already been locked. It's already been processed. It's already been made live. So more than likely you're going to be changing this rule set to, some other arbitrary number. You might be changing the rule set to some other arbitrary rule set, or some rule set that might be only applying to just the service or whatnot. You know, it's all dependent on, you know, um, the overall architecture of your project, right? So don't make the assumption that your rule set is automatically going to be going into the base of the um, into the base of the rule sets overall. So just bear that in mind, okay? Um, Not quite sure what this work item to associate is. They're not really applying. Um, they're not really talking about that. That's most likely probably something that will be addressed in the senior system architect. But I'm not very familiar with it, so don't worry about it. So we're going to do the create and open and move on to the next part. Okay. So we're going to be on the definition tab of the data transform record. Configure the copy selected services data transform. I'm just going to copy that real quick. So we're on the definition of the, copy selected services data transform. So we're already there. So on the data transform record in the action list, you can see the um, um, what's it called again? Uh, why am I blanking on the name right at this moment in time? But the table has a set name for it, so we're going to be modifying that a little bit. So in the action transform record in the action list, select for each page in to repeat over the items in a list. So for each page in. Um, a second indented row labeled 1-1 is displayed on the record. So that's good because that's indeed what is doing and what it's doing right there. In the row labeled 1 in the target field, which is right next to it, enter or select dot services to repeat over the items in the services list. Okay, so if you're here, you can typically just hit the down arrow, and it should show you a lot of the, you know, um, available, like, um, it should show you things that should be already visible. Okay, so if it's not there, then you might be able to click on more and maybe see it. But if it's not there, then you might have some other issues going on. So just kind of bear that in mind. So, but it wanted the dot services, so we're good there. Okay. So to repeat over the items in the services list. Okay, in the source column, which is over here, select the also use each page as source context checkbox to use the services page as the source context to resolve property references. So we're doing that. Um, so yeah, basically they're basically saying, if you're referencing anything, check out the services page first, basically, right? At least that's what I'm gathering from that. So before it, looks elsewhere. So in the row labeled 1.1 in the action. Also, bear in mind, I'm not 100% sure what I just said is actually true. If it is, then let me know. If it's not, or if there's something that I might be saying incorrectly, then feel free to correct me. You know, I don't mind if you want to change my wording around so that it's proper. Um, like I said, I'm not an expert at this stuff, folks. So I can only say what's kind of on my mind. So in the row labeled 1.1 in the actions list, select when to configure the condition for selecting a row. A third indented row labeled 1.1.1 is displayed on the record. So for here, we do when, and there's the new row that gets set. So in the row labeled 1.1 in the target field, enter quantity is greater than 0 to only select rows with the quantity greater than 0. So we can go here, we can drop down, and we can try to maybe search for it, but as you can see, there's a lot of information here, right? Um, you know, um, and what's interesting to me right at this moment in time is I don't see, quantity here. Supposedly this is in alphabetical order. So the fact that, we didn't see quantity after the P is like, that's quite suspect, right? So, and you can't see it here either, so, but it might be referencing, what's already in services, okay? It might not necessarily be seen it might not necessarily be seeing it right now because the values haven't necessarily been created at this particular moment in time. Okay, when you start putting the data into the services case type, then quantity might then be created at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So, um, so the drop down in question doesn't necessarily help us. Okay, but quantity might already be, might be being created from the services case type. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this and just paste it there. Okay, so so it's going to basically look in services, look for quantity, and check to see whether or not that value is greater than 0. Now, bear in mind, okay, we did a quantity, okay, and it's in, you know, um, and it's in the assisted request kind of thing. Now, um, you know, we're gonna be, you know, um, basically getting this information or selecting this information or what have you. Okay. Um, we're not there yet. Um, so yeah. Okay. Just bear that in mind. Okay. So, um, in the row labeled 1.1.1 from the actions list, so actions list, select append to append the contents of the selected row to a different list. So, so we're going to append to. Um, in the row labeled 1.1.1 in the target field, enter py work cover dot selected services to copy the contents of the selected row to the selected services data relationship in the assistance request parent case. So, um, once again, here's here's that drop down that I was kind of talking about, and we could look for the py work. It should be in alphabetical order, but as you can see, we don't necessarily have that, right? Py work cover is not automatically being shown here, but you know, it, most likely, if they're using it here, then most likely it's being generated at that particular moment in time. Okay, so um, it's one of the things where it's like, there are some things that are being generated, on the fly in Pega. So, why? Don't really know. These are things that are automatically, done behind the scenes. Okay, maybe they've been asked for through multiple iterations. Okay, people ask like, hey, can we get this being generated whenever you create a new um, whenever you create a new case type or something along those lines. Okay, it might be something that is generated like as soon as you run the program. Okay, it's not something that is generated prior to. Okay, um, or there might be something that needs to happen for it to show up. Like maybe it detects that, oh hey, you're doing a data transform. Well, you're probably going to need a py work cover. So, it generates that as soon as it sees the fact that you're doing a data transform. That kind of thing. Okay. When it generates, I don't really know. They haven't. I don't remember them going over py work cover in the prior discussions. So we're just gonna kind of leave it up to the fact that this is what they're doing. We're going to have to kind of accept that this is the way they want us to go, and you know, we need to kind of paste it in there. So, okay. In the row labeled 1.1.1 in the relation list, select current source page to copy the contents of the selected row and the services data relationship in the service case. Um, so it looks like we're pretty much done there for this part, but let's hold off on it for a second there because we still got more to go. So on a data transform record, click Pages and Classes tab to define the PY work cover page so that the data transform can resolve the selected services property reference. So we want the pages and classes. In the page name field, enter PY work cover as the name of the page to define. In the class field, enter or select GoGo Road Dashwork that assistance request to define the context of the PY work cover page as the assistance request case type class. Click Save to complete the configuration of the data transform. Click the Performance Service tab to return to the Perform Service Flow record. Going back there. Okay. They really should kind of maybe specify this a little bit more, but this is what they mean there. Because obviously there's multiple different tab systems going on here. As you can see, there's multiple different, and there's tabs here, and then there's tabs up there. So I can understand if you might get confused along those lines, but know that if as long as you didn't close this out, you can go ahead and select back to the Perform Service tab there. So in the Connector Properties dialog box, click Submit to complete the configuration of the Select Services connector that runs the copy selected services data transform. So now we click Submit, and we are good. Click Save to complete the configuration of the Perform Service Flow record. There we go. So we're on to the third task, and I'm already, kind of behind on my work there, folks, so apologies on that, but, wanted to kind of explain things here a little bit more because I feel like they might not explain enough on some of this. So from the App Explorer, expand Service Data Model Data Transform. So from the App Explorer. Okay, so from App, expand Service, Data Model, and Data Transform. Okay, so there's your, three different data transforms. And notice how the copy selected services is now in the data transform. They really should have shown you this prior to kind of show the fact that you had only the PY default and the PY set fields default, being shown there. But it is what it is. Then click PY default to open the PY default data transform. So we're going there. All right. If you do not see PY default, refresh the App Explorer by clicking Options, Refresh App Explorer. hopefully it's there. If not, then they're not really explaining, you know, like, hey, if you're not seeing it, then you're probably encountering an interesting bug, and that you should probably, you know, talk to Pega about, because, obviously they're basically, stating, hey, if you're not quite sure, or if you're not seeing PY default in this particular class structure here, then maybe something happened. So just kind of bear that in mind. In the Pages and Classes tab, enter PY work cover for the page name field. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, Pages and Classes, PY work cover, and the GoGo Road dash work dash assistance request for the class field. In the Definition tab, click Add a Row. So Definition tab, click Add a Row. In the Action field, select For Each Page In. In the Target field, enter or select .services. So oh, interesting. So as you can kind of see here, .services is not a default, or not being shown in there, which is kind of interesting. You would think that it probably should be, but it's not for some reason. Hmm. Not sure why not, because I mean the copy selected services, saw services. So why not PY default? Hmm. Check the box. Also use each page as source context. So doing that one as well. In the child steps action field, select set. Now obviously they're not going by the numbering system, because once again, um, they're afraid that, you know, this right here, your practice environment may support the completion of multiple challenges, as a the configuration shown in challenge walkthrough may not match your environment exactly. So, um, so while, we right now are seeing 3 and 3.1 here, that might be different, like, slightly later. It might be, they might have an extra row here. So it might be 4 and 4.1, or maybe they took out this particular set, later on. Who's to say, you know? Um, so just kind of bear that in mind. Don't fret. So But we're already set to the to the action field of set. So that's a default value. So we're good there. And the target field, enter or select quantity. So again, we're not seeing it there. So why? I don't really know. Not sure why they aren't adding, or why they're not able to see um, like the properties. You know, because it's right there. So it might be just pretty much out of scope. Okay, might not necessarily be seeing it right at this moment in time. So you know, once the program is in runtime, then it might actually see the that value right then and there. So yeah, it's equal to, and the source field enters 0. So we're basically, defaulting the quantity here to 0 to start off with. So we're going to go ahead and save everything. And that's it for this. So now we're going to go ahead and click create new assistance request. So, um, which mm, maybe the create menu, new assistance request, maybe. Yeah. At least I hope that's the correct steps that they wanted me to do. Seems like it is because I mean um, it's allowing me to kind of adjust everything here. So enter in the enter customer information form. Um, I believe you kind of skipped a step there, guys. Okay. Here's that customer ID, and they want me to select the H. Thomas example. So there's that. And advance the case to the select services view and confirm the default values in each field in the quantity row is 0. Um, so I guess we're just gonna kind of skip through this. Um, Alright, so here we are on the select services view. Confirm the default values in each field in the quantity row is 0, which it is. So there's that. Enter the quantities provided in the following image and verify the total cost is $210. So we're doing 1 for the battery replacement, 1 for the battery charge, and 2 for gasoline. So that's a total of $210, as they mentioned before. Now, here's the thing that they're not really addressing all that much here, is the fact that you know, before the enter customer information form, you know, um, they, um, you know, for one thing, a prior step there that basically was kind of saying, what the problem is related to, okay? And if I was developing this app and a person said that, hey, I have a blown out tire, then, what's with, you know, everything else here? You know, it should just be tire replacement, tire repair, and, maybe tow a vehicle and gasoline. That's it. That's all it should be kind of displaying on here, right? You would think, you know. Maybe if they need to add more to it, then they can, um, but I mean, the initial service that I selected was the fact that I had a blown out tire. The fact that I'm seeing selecting things and adding things that aren't related to a blown out tire is, kind of odd. you know. Um, Now, if I picked an option saying, I don't know what's wrong, please come out and help me, then I should probably be seeing everything here. Um, but I mean, if I'm a customer and I know for a fact that I have a blown out tire, then why the hell would I want a replacement key? You see what I'm saying? So that's all. Um, Click submit to complete the select services assignment and resolve the case service case. The service summary view is displayed. So um, on the review service summary view, verify that the selected services table displays the 3 rows filled out in the service case and that the value of the invoice total field is 210. In a real-life implementation, ensure that the list of selected services in the assistance request case is read-only and restricts users from adding or removing items. You can remove the add item and delete controls by editing the section rule that displays the list, which is outside the scope of this challenge. So basically, this right here, you know, you can remove that functionality, you know, but obviously they're saying, hey, you can't, we don't really care about that. Now, why they have this single line here, don't really know. Why they have that there, who's to say? You know, the empty first row in the table is a result of the selected services list initialization. You can remove the empty first row by deleting the selected services PY label created by default in the set field defaults data transform, which is outside the scope of this challenge. So, um, so for example, we can go to that right now and notice how you have the um, you know, setting, the value there. So I'm basically saying, hey, you can delete this and it'll remove that first row. So, okay. But yeah, that is it. Um, so we should be all done here. So now that's all taken care of. Uh, Interesting. You marked this challenge complete? Shouldn't there be a verification on that? Normally there's some testing going on. Hmm, that's a little odd. I'm a little confused by that a bit. Not sure what's going on there, but um, hmm. Interesting, interesting. Um, I'm gonna copy this here real quick. Okay, screenshots. Mm, Let's see. Manipulating application data. Sorry, I'm just kind of saving the image here there, folks. So, um, suggest an edit. Um, Let me go ahead and select the challenge image here. So three things I noticed. And maybe they can be addressed. First, under the confirm the work on step 1, you wanted us to use new or actually no, it was use create new and assistance request. However, I'm not seeing create. Maybe due to the window being small. Um, but maybe have a picture showing where you are referring to so that everyone can know what steps you are asking the dev to use to create a new assistance request. Second, before selecting the user for um, the work, um, there is a step prior that is asking what work is needed. Maybe address that prior to the current second step. Third, um, isn't there a testing suite to make sure that what we did is correct? I ask because I'm a little confused about the messaging at the very end saying that I marked the challenge as complete. Shouldn't there be something that confirms that what I did was correct? And that in previous mission challenges, kind of surprised, really, that there wasn't some form of testing on our results. See, attached photo. Oh, yeah. Okay, so apparently we're good. Not, you know, not sure why we are, why we suddenly have like um, no testing going on here. Also, bear in mind here, informational. You know, what we just did, they're saying, hey, we have some warnings that, you may want to address. You know, it's not it's not moderate, it's not severe, but maybe you should try to look into trying to fix, what you know, if it's there's something going on, maybe you should consider fixing it, you know, because it might, there might be something else, um, that's a problem. So, okay. But that's it. That's where we're going to go ahead and call it for this portion of the Pega studying. So I know that I'm going over, but I mean there was a lot to cover, and it's probably going to happen again in the future. We'll see. Um, but that's where we're going to go ahead and end it at this point. So I want to thank everybody for joining me on this. Hopefully you enjoyed my going through the steps. Again, if you have any kind of questions or anything along those lines, feel free to reach out to me, and I will try to address them if I can. If I can't, either I'll see about trying to contact those that you know um, I've had conversations with in the past, and hope that they will um, answer it, or I will hope that, someone else will see your question and try to address it themselves. I can't always guarantee it there, folks. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm not there yet. So, um, maybe I'll come back, 5, 10 years down the line, as a professional Pega developer and go, Jim, what are you doing? It's quite possible. You never know. But that's it. That's where we're going to go ahead and end it. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Again, feel free to leave a comment. Check out the description. Leave a like. Share it. You know, subscription. All that jazz would be fantastic. So, but that's it. Take care. Have a good night. And I'll catch you all next time.